Welcome to Herd Mentality, a podcast from StoneX where we discuss global dairy markets and what's driving them. Remember that the trading of derivatives such as futures, options, and over-the-counter products or swaps may not be suitable for all investors. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss, and past results are not necessarily indicative of future results. We're recording this about midday on Wednesday, October 23rd. With me today is, and I'm going to butcher the name, Aureilien Houitte, who's one of our newer employees based in southern France. Aureilien, can you give us a little bit of your work history?
Well, hi, Nate. I've basically studied international trade and international relationships. And from that moment, I immediately joined the agricultural commodity industry and trading. Before joining the dairy in 2009, I worked a couple of years for cotton traders in Paris and worked for Rumi, which was the French sister company of Hoogvec Group based in Paris. I worked for Hoogvec for 15 years in different positions, being a trader for 7 years, working on the different product from liquids to butter powder, also derivatives in very small amount of volume at the time. Then I moved to as a logistic director for that French entity and worked the last 2 years in this group for in Arnhem for the group in different in different missions, I would say, with the different topics. I joined StoneX in April 2024 as a business development manager, trying to help and provide some of my knowledge of the physical markets to that derivatives world, I would say.
And it's been very useful. You've shared comments about Algerian tenders and some of that physical side stuff that we don't see or hear very often dealing with the financial side. But this week you were at the SIAL conference in Paris.
Yes,
Um,
correct.
that's SIAL. I've always wondered, what does that actually stand for?
So in French, that's the acronym is Salon International de l'Agroalimentaire, which is basically a food trade show. Here this year was the 60th event. So it's been a major event for the food industry for quite some decades, I would say.
And it's a trade show set up where there's
And
booths from different suppliers. It's not sit down and listen to presentations, right?
yeah, you have a couple of. It's being split in 8 halls. It's a big location. You have a couple of really huge halls, and they are browsing all different industry from, of course, dairy, pastry industry. The meat industry is also very well represented over there. Machinery is a little bit as well. So yeah, you can really see a big panel of what the food industry has to offer. So I think it's an important event for many people in that industry, in the food industry.
And on the dairy side of things, what did you hear? What were people talking about?
Well, I would say, I think, we've been into some very intensive market price movement over the last months. I think I've heard some people were comfortable, some people were very uncertain about what would happen on some product at least. But I think, while let's say I would say the fat side of the market, people are pretty much certain of what's going to happen on the Q4 with the market pretty much sold out on high prices. People seems to be well covered. It sounded a little bit more uncertain for Q1 2025. Probably a lot of the contracts have already been discussed. Those who are buying index links, etc., they have renewed some of them, but it's a bit more uncertain on what the price is going to be. And I think most people are expecting some lower prices, so might be on hold a little bit. On the protein side, I think the market looks a bit heavier. Some people are convinced that there's a bit more product available, maybe in stock. What is for sure, what I heard from several people is that demand at the moment is very sluggish. It's very difficult for them, even on the show. Well, you don't necessarily go to a show to conclude business, but even at the show, meeting your good customers, it's very difficult to conclude business at the moment. So yeah, it seems really really uncertain on the what I would call the protein side, but mostly S&P as I'm referring to here.
That's interesting. If I think back to maybe a month ago or 2 months ago, my forecasted skim milk powder stocks for Europe were getting back to or a little bit above year ago levels by July, but the skim milk powder production, European skim milk powder production for August was a lot lower than expected. The exports were stronger than expected. So right now, my inventory for September, October, November is still slightly below year ago levels. Forecasted stocks do get back above year ago in December. So it's certainly in a more balanced position than butter, where the estimated stocks are down more than 20%. Um, but it's looking not as heavy as expected a couple of months ago due to the weak skim milk powder production numbers, which ties back to the milk production numbers. France was one of the countries where blue tongue showed up this summer. Was there much discussion about blue tongue and impacts on milk production?
Well, I haven't discussed Bluetooth with many people, but for sure, one person I talked to, who is someone I would say very well informed on what's going on in the market, talking to a lot of people, was of the opinion that the Bluetooth was behind us. So I hope that person is right, but it doesn't come back in the discussion that I could have over the time that I spent there. So. Yeah, doesn't seem to be like a hot topic, at least the people I talk to.
Now, the weekly milk collections numbers for France were running really strong, well above year ago levels, but in recent weeks, they've kind of closed that gap a bit. Still up from last year, but not nearly as much. Um, what has the weather been like?
Well, the weather's been quite unfavorable lately. I would say the especially what we would call the milk belt, sorry, regions that start from Brittany in west of France up to the north and onto the east above Paris. All that regions have been having heavy rains. And if you take one of the areas in Brittany which is the one of the biggest milk collections place in France. You can easily see some images on the social media where all the fields are totally swamped. So I guess it is challenging over there probably to put the cows outside. So that may have an impact on milk collections in the coming weeks, I would say. That would be my assumption. But at the same time, as we say that, I think uh, farm gate price is still favorable. So yeah, let's see what the coming weeks are going to bring. But yeah, for sure, weather conditions have been challenging with a lot of rain in France lately.
I There was a news article that was shared around in the U.S. Group chat about some farmer protests starting again in France next month. Are you aware of that at all? Is that going to be a hot topic?
We see that in the news. It seems that one of the um, major private dairy in France has decided to not renew the contract we have with some of their farmers. I think some of these farmers found a new home for their milk. So I'm not sure about the impact of that, but for sure, for some time that was on some headlines in some newspaper for sure. Now I'm not of the opinion that is going to create some huge blockage in France in the coming weeks. You always have some spot operations with some farmers who, of course, are not happy about that. But I know that some other dairy groups or cooperatives have been in line to get those farmers back in their own portfolio. So I don't think we should see massive movements linked to this. Now,
Now, to put you on the spot a little bit, I don't know how closely you're following prices, but it looks like first quarter EEX butter futures are currently around 68.50 euro per ton. Do you think prices will once we get out into the first quarter, be higher or lower than 68.50?
I think it's difficult today to I see them a bit higher than 68.50. Um, I think today we more hear of prices, around 740, 750. With some markets like Germany, you are still offering butter around €8 because there's simply no butter available for the industry in Germany, from what I've heard. I think at the moment, all of the fat is going into selling cream, producing packed butter for the retail markets, and probably going into the cheese production. So, every country has its own dynamic. I think France is in a probably similar situation. Germany is definitely in that situation. So you may have some countries that have more willingness to produce 25 kg blocks butter, but at the moment, with price around 7.4, 7.5, I think 68.50 seems to be off what we hear on the physical market at the moment. Of course, we've seen that the price can come off or up rapidly. The last months have been a good example of that. So, but I'm still of the opinion that there will be some tensions on the fat market.
All right. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
The StoneX Dairy team spans the US, EU, Asia, and Oceania, providing market intelligence, analysis, and forecasts through our interactive data platform called StoneX Plus, as well as full-service brokerage on the major dairy exchanges, the CME, EEX, and SGX. If you're interested in finding out more about our market intelligence or brokerage services, you can find more information on stonex.com.
This communication is issued in the European Economic Area by StoneX Financial Europe SA, SFE by the SFE presenters noted. StoneX is the trade name used by StoneX Group Inc. and all its associated entities and subsidiaries. StoneX Group Inc. companies provide financial services worldwide through its subsidiaries, including physical commodities, securities, exchange-traded and over-the-counter, under derivatives, risk management, global payments, and foreign exchange products in accordance with applicable law in the jurisdictions where services are provided. References to certain over-the-counter products or swaps are made on behalf of StoneX Markets, LLC SXM, a member of the National Futures Association NFA and provisionally registered with the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission CFTC as a swap dealer. SXM products are designed only for individuals or firms who qualify under CFTC rules as an eligible contract participant ACPAT and who have been accepted as customers of SXM. Wealth management is offered through SA Stone Wealth Management Inc., member FINRA/SIPC, and SA Stone Investment Advisors Inc., and SEC Registered Investment Advisor, both wholly owned subsidiaries of StoneX Group Inc. StoneX Financial Limited SFL is registered in England and Wales, company No. 5,616,586. SFL is authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority registration number FRN 446,717 to provide to professional and eligible customers including arrangement, execution and, where required, clearing derivative transactions in exchange-traded futures and options. SFL is also authorized to engage in the arrangement and execution of transactions in certain OTC products, certain securities trading, precious metals trading and payment services to eligible customers. SFL is authorized regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority under the Payment Services Regulations 2017 for the provision of payment services. SFL is a Category 1 ring dealing member of the London Metal Exchange. In addition, SFL also engages in other physically delivered commodities business and other general business activities which are unregulated and not required to be authorized by the Financial Conduct Authority. StoneX Financial Europe SA, SFE is a securities trading firm registered in the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg under Company No. RC Lux B 10821. SFE is authorized by the Luxembourg Ministry of Finance and regulated by the Commission de Surveillance du Secteur Financier Registration No. P00000-012 to carry out, inter alia, the activities of investment advisor, portfolio manager, professional acting on own account, broker in financial instruments, and commission agent. StoneX Financial Pte Ltd Co. Reg. No. 2011305988R SFP is regulated by the Monetary Authority of Singapore and is a capital market service licensee for dealing in capital market products, an exempt financial advisor for advising on investment products and issuing or promulgating analyses/reports on investment products, and a major payment institution for cross-border money transfer service. StoneX Financial HK Limited C. No. BCQ 152 SHK is regulated by the Hong Kong Securities and Futures Commission for dealing in futures contracts. StoneX Group Inc. acts as agent for SFL in New York with respect to its payment services business. StoneX Financial Thai Limited SFA Akin 141774727 holds an Australian financial service license and is regulated by the Australian Securities and Investments Commission AFSL 345646. StoneX Securities Co. Limited SSJ Co. Reg. No. 010401047199 is regulated by the Japanese Financial Ser. ISIS Agency as a Type I financial instruments business operator Kanto Local Finance Finance Bureau FIBO No. 291, is a member of the Financial Futures Association of Japan for dealing and broking FX and FX option transactions, and is a member of the Japan Securities Dealers Association for dealing and broking stock indices and option transactions. The information herein is not a recommendation to trade nor investment research or an offer to buy or sell any financial product. It does not take into account your particular investment objectives, financial situation, or needs, and does not create a binding obligation on any of the StoneX Group Inc. of companies to enter into any transaction with you. You are advised to perform an independent investigation of any transaction to determine whether any transaction is suitable for you. This material should be construed as the solicitation of an account, order, and/or services provided by the FCM division of StoneX Financial Inc., SFI NFAID 0476094, or StoneX Markets LLC SXM NFAID 0449652, and represents the opinions and viewpoints of the individual authors or presenters and does not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of SFI or SXM. It does not constitute an individualized recommendation or take into account the particular trading objectives, financial situations, or needs of individual customers. Additionally, this material should not be construed as research material. The trading of derivatives such as futures, options, and over-the-counter products or swaps may not be suitable for all investors. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss, and you should fully understand the risks prior to trading. Past results are not necessarily indicative of future results. All references to and discussion of OTC products or swaps are made solely on behalf of SXM. All references to futures and options on futures trading are made solely on behalf of SFI. SXM products are intended to be traded only by individuals or firms who qualify under CFTC rules as an eligible contract participant ECPA and who have been accepted as customers of SXM. SFI and SXM are not responsible for any redistribution of this material by third parties or any trading decisions taken by persons not intended to view this material. Information contained herein was obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but is not guaranteed as to its accuracy. Contact designated personnel from SFI or SXM for specific trading advice to meet your trading preferences. SFP may distribute analysis/report produced by its respective foreign affiliates within the StoneX Group of companies pursuant to an arrangement under Regulation 32C of the Financial Advisors Regulations. Recipients should contact SFP at 656-309-1000 for any matters arising from or in connection with this podcast. No part of this material may be copied or duplicated in any form by any means or redistributed without the prior written consent of StoneX Group Inc. The podcast herein is not directed to or intended for distribution to or use by any person or entity who is a citizen or resident of or located in any locality, state, country, or other jurisdiction where such distribution, publication, availability, or use would be contrary to law or regulation. Copyright 2024 StoneX Group Inc. All rights reserved.